better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. How are you over there, Dr. Janae?
I'm so excited. I am blessed and favored.
I'm so excited, too. I feel like this has been a long time coming, right? For us to finally get together virtually in the same room, right?
Absolutely.
Listen, everybody, we have a tremendous show lined up for you today. We are truly going to be bringing balance to your house. Don't worry about the world. We're bringing balance to your home today.
Yes.
By having Dr. Janae Bishop-Nesbit right here on the Kim Jacobs Show. So grab your virtual seats. Let everybody know where you're visiting in from. Today, we're going to be talking about how to thrive through burnout, which means that means you're experiencing some of it and you're going through it, getting to the other side of it, right?
Yes, absolutely. And during these trying times, people are experiencing burnout and stress in so many different ways and levels. So this is a timely topic. And thank you so much for your leadership in this.
Thank you so much for your leadership and letting God use your gifts and your talents. Listen, Dr. Janae is actually a thought leader, trailblazer. She is a native of New York and retired high school principal, former K-12 counselor, veteran Army officer, former military spouse, mother of 2 veteran sons. This woman right
A lot of water under this bridge.
A whole lot. Okay. Dr. Janae, I'm not going to even tell you what happened in her life. I'll let her tell you what brought her to this point of where she is right now. But she's affectionately known as Dr. Janae. So anybody that references her, make sure you go ahead and put that. Dr. Janae is in the house, okay? And as an education consultant, certified wellness and life coach, certified grief coach, she's a speaker, author of 4 books and contributing anthologies that she's participated in. This woman is, I'm going to bite my tongue I'm going to start speaking in tongues by the time I finish reading this bio. She is multifaceted. Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Kim. I tell you, this is such a thrill. And I thank you again for what you do, pouring into others, pouring into families on how they can have the most balanced life. And I'm just so grateful. And so with that being said, let's jump to it.
Let's jump right in. Now, what I would love for you to do is just take us back on your journey, because I know all of these accolades that we shared, but what about what happened throughout your life? Take us back on your journey. You didn't just become a veteran. You are a force to be reckoned with. Where did it begin for you, Dr. Janae?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Well, I was born and raised in New York, and when I say New York, you can hear it in my voice.
Right.
My parents raised me and my 2 brothers, and so growing up with brothers definitely helped me to be resilient and to thrive within the inner city. But then I joined the military as a way of being able to pay for college, but that also enabled me to thrive in different populations and demographics and such. And so that experience led to my being married for 28 years, having 2 sons, as you mentioned earlier. Yes, who are veterans themselves. But my husband, my late husband, he died in 2016. And at that time, I was a school principal. He was a middle school assistant principal. And I had just launched my first book, How Much Joy Is in Your Journey. As a matter of fact, 2 days before the Lord called him home. And here I was, having written this book, How Much Joy Is in Your Journey. And then 2 days later, after the launch, the Lord calls my husband home. And so at that point in time, even though I was experiencing stress and burnout as a wife, a mom, a school administrator, being involved in the community and the church, being an author, first time author, I really had to look at and reassess my life because I was a woman in midlife. I didn't expect that I was going to have this kind of change to occur. So at that point, I decided to change career, shift, which so many women do. I shifted, I sold my house, moved from Georgia to South Carolina to be closer to family, and just decompress a little bit and decide what is it that I need to do next. And so part of that decompression was I came across research that supported my theory and development to thrive. And that research was from the National Wellness Institute. And it was about wellness. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how looking at, Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey once said, sometimes you don't know what you don't know until somebody points it out.
That's
well,
right.
when it was pointed out to me, I used that information as a foundation for several books that I've written, one on grief and using these dimensions, one on the gratitude journal and being able to reflect on one's life. And then most recently, I'll be releasing another book, Thrive, Recharge, and Rise, in April. And so I just want to encourage everyone out there to realize that wellness is not something that just stands on its own. It's actually interconnected in many ways. And I'll be sharing some of that today.
Wow. Okay. That is what I say, like overwhelming to process, because like you said, you're this young, vibrant woman. Nobody can anticipate that you're going to be a widow
Right.
and this was in 2016. It's
Correct. Yes.
2025 now. So
Yes.
as you've had to navigate through dealing with significant, unexpected loss in your life, even though I don't believe, when I say loss, I believe that I know my son, he's not lost. He's in heaven, so I know exactly where he is. But the loss is for us here on this earth. How do you recommend people deal with the grief that they are experiencing and feeling stuck? Because a lot of times people feel stuck in situations like that.
Absolutely. And that was exactly my case. I did not imagine that I was going to be on the rest of this journey in this way so early in my life. And so how I recommend getting unstuck is to realize that all of our time here is limited, right? We just don't know when and where. And so what was helpful to me was that I looked at these areas of wellness in my life and decided, okay, I need to get help. Now, when I entered the education system, I was a guidance counselor once I got out of the military. And being a guidance counselor, I never went to therapy, other than what was in our graduate program. Right. But I realized that I needed to go through a grief recovery program. So when I moved to South Carolina, I decided to not participate just in one, but in two. One was more of a support group. The other one was really peeling away the layers of the onion. And so once I completed that 28-week program in that grief group, which was Grief Share, so many of you in the audience may be familiar with Grief Share, I then decided to look back at these dimensions of wellness and look at how they can help me to thrive. And so there's the emotional dimension of wellness, which involves understanding and managing your emotions, coping with stress, and developing the resilience. And when I looked at that, I decided, okay, I'm going to look at 2 months at a time, addressing each of these dimensions and be really, really intentional about it. And for those who may not know, then there's physical wellness, which we hear about that all the time. And physical wellness deals with focusing and maintaining your health with your body. That's your sleep, your nutrition,
Right.
your exercise, preventative health care. Then there's social wellness, which when you are going through the grief process, sometimes you tend to become introverted. And I did as well. I know that I had suffered from depression and anxiety during that time. But
Right.
the research tells us that social wellness is so important to be able to be surrounded by healthy and supportive relationships that foster a sense of belonging. And then, of course, we have that spiritual wellness. And our churches and Bible studies and groups and women groups can certainly help us. But for some people, they may not necessarily be religious, but the spiritual wellness can also relate to how do you center yourself and be balanced. And so for me, that was waking up each morning, having prayer as I've done all my life, but then also incorporating meditation into my life. Then we also have intellectual wellness. And the research talks about how are you continuing to learn? I had to learn about being a solo individual in a life that I thought I was going to be coupled and having my family. And at that point, when I became widowed, my sons were, they were already gone out of the house. It was empty nested. This was the time for us to enjoy this next stage of our life. And so with that intellectual wellness, I encourage everyone out there, read books about the stage that you're in right now. So I read a lot of resources regarding being a widow, being a young widow. I was in my early 50s at the time, and seeing how can I then redesign my life. Then the last three dimensions of wellness that I think is really important for those who are in grief, or
Yeah.
even those who are just navigating changes in their life, is the occupational wellness. You know, I mentioned earlier that I decided to leave my job at the end of the school year as a principal and then
Right.
come to South Carolina and decompress. Well, occupational wellness involves finding personal satisfaction and enrichment in one's work while balancing your work-life commitments. Now, I'm here to tell everybody there is no such thing as being able to balance effectively, because I struggled all my life with that. But it is possible to live in harmony. And that's why I love what it is that you do, bringing balance to the world, one household at a time, because it is incremental steps. And then there's environmental wellness. How do we surround our environment with things that pour into us and nurture us? For me, when I woke up each morning, and I really believe in aromatherapy, I might have soothing gospel music playing, and all of those things help me to get into a calm state of mind. And then finally, there's financial wellness. You know, whether you have lost a spouse or a significant partner, or even a child, you know, that impacts your finances. And so it's so important that we look at where are we in terms of our budget as we are moving forward, and how we can manage those things effectively. So as we look at grieving, it's also not just the loss of a loved one. It could be the loss of a job, the transition of a career, moving to a new community and grieving the social connection that you had previously. And all of those things I had to look at. And what was the result? Well, as the young folks said, once I worked on myself, applied things that I had been speaking to people about, I ended up being able to have love come into my life again. And so I got remarried in 2021 to an amazing man, Bishop-Nesbit, and my life has just been, you know, such a blessing. But I give God the praise for all of his grace and mercy on my life, because so often we go through life making plans, but God makes the final decision, and we just have to adjust.
Wow. And I know Vernon is a blessed man to have you be his beautiful bride. And especially
Oh,
with the spirit that you have, it's just it's so incredible and inspiring. And you do thrive. And that's what I really like. I like the fact that you're not just talking about surviving, but you're talking about thriving. And that's why you started the Thrive Wellness consulting component.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And you know, in this day and age where we have changes in politics and people's changes in their jobs and changes in their family structure, it's so important for us to realize that we need to find ways to enjoy this moment, because this moment is our life. This is not a dress rehearsal on this level. And so to be able to look at how can we thrive in 2025, how can we recharge ourselves, how can we rise to whatever that next level is, we need to look at all of these holistic facets of our life and realize that you can do it.
That's good. That's good. And so I want to show your book cover. I was trying to download it over here, but I think I'm going to just show it
Oh,
because
sure. Thank you.
it's a PDF, so I didn't get a chance. I can't get it. There it is. I was trying to make sure. How can I share this book cover? Because this is an amazing book, Thrive, Recharge, and Rise. And so I want to pull that image in for everybody to see. Talk to us about this particular project. What made you create this guide for people to
Yes.
follow? And what do you hope for people to walk away learning? Thrive,
Oh
Recharge.
my. This is, thank you so much for asking this question. So yes, Thrive, Recharge, and Rise, a guide to support busy leaders and educators through burnout, was inspired in part by, I didn't realize I was burning out until, of course, I became suddenly widowed and had to make all of these adjustments in life. And so now I had all of these extra things on my plate, in addition to being a mom, in addition to being a school administrator, and the commitments that I had for faculty and staff and students. And at that time, I had folks to suggest, hey, Janae, you need to do something about educators. And here were some motivating points that I didn't feel comfortable then writing about. How do you thrive as a leader and as an educator? But now that I've done some work and have written other books, I feel comfortable in this space. And part of it is because in the course of my 21 years in education, of course, my late husband having passed away of a fatal heart attack on a Monday morning. And did you know that the American Red Cross has has noted that Monday mornings are typically the mornings of most heart attacks.
Yeah.
And some research suggests that it's because of people either getting ready for a week that they are anticipating to be very stressful. They may already have high blood pressure or stroke. And then we also know that heart disease is the silent killer for women. So, of course, his untimely death at 52 was an eye opener for me, but I couldn't really talk about it or peel away the layers of the onion in terms of what does this mean for leaders and educators.
Right.
However, that being said, I've known a high school principal, also in Georgia, who had a fatal heart attack in his office at work. I also knew a middle school principal who, on her way leaving her home to go to her job, had a fatal heart attack between her front door and going to her car. And her secretary called for a wellness check to be done. And unfortunately, she was already no longer with us. And so as the years transpired and I got involved in doing wellness and talking about thriving and surviving and dimensions of wellness, I realized I need to do something for others who are in a leadership role, whether you're a leader in your own life or a leader in the corporate setting or you're a solopreneur. And then also something that looks at the pain points of educators, because here we are wanting to serve, but it is definitely stressful. And guess what? Right now, it is very stressful for educators as well with the changes that are occurring.
Yes, it is. And with the people that are educators, those that are essential workers and different things, how do you recommend people really deal with the day-to-day process of being resilient? Because it's hard for people to even grasp the concept of being able to overcome all that's happening within the world already. So how can they individually become more resilient and embrace that on a day-to-day basis?
I love that you've asked that question. And sometimes people may feel overwhelmed, right? And unsure about where to start. And so that's very timely. And especially when we're at a time where we may not feel that we're in control of what's happening in our neighborhood, in our community, but what we may have some control over is what's occurring in our homes. But sometimes there also, the rug gets shifted underneath us. And so I often tell people that in life, life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. And how we are able to move forward in terms of addressing overwhelm and thriving in this time that we're going in has to be focusing on building resilience and improving our well-being. And so here are a couple of things that I want people to take into account if they're feeling overwhelmed and unsure about how to start the journey. One, right? And these are 8 tips. One, start small.
Wait, before you keep going, I want y'all to type these, because it's one thing for us to hear it, but type what she's saying, because she already shared some significant points with us dealing with different components of like the emotional, physical, intellectual, social, spiritual, different components in the past already. But I want us to literally type these points that she's sharing. Point number 1 is what? I'm going to type it too.
Oh, fantastic. So you know what I'm going to put? I'm going to slow down my New Yorker way of talking then. So point number 1 of the 8 things that I want you to consider, and we talk about this in our book as well, is start small. And what does that mean to start small? Well, what that means is set manageable goals. Begin with small, achievable goals rather than attempting to complete an overhaul of your life. When I was going through the initial phases of my widowhood, many of the grief counselors had shared, don't do anything within the first year. But I didn't listen. And yes, it did feel overwhelming. So I want you to also consider that as you're starting small for your well-being, how about, for example, aim to incorporate just a 10-minute daily walk or practice gratitude by writing one thing that you're grateful for that day. For myself, that was something that was really important. And even though there were some mornings where I might have experienced, especially when I moved here, and this was my first time in 28 years living alone, and my sons weren't here as well. And it was before I, started going back out into the dating realm. And I woke up and I was committing myself to writing down 3 things I was grateful for and pushing myself to identify 3 different things. Okay, so that was number 1, start small. Number 2, prioritize self-care. And
wait. Now I have number 1 is start small, set manageable goals. Number 2, I have practice gratitude daily. Is that that's under point number 1?
Oh, yes, that's under point number 1.
So that's 1A, point 1A. Okay.
There you go. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's just 1A. By practicing gratitude, it elevates our attitude and increases our latitude in life. Point 2, prioritize self care. So, what does that mean to prioritize self care? Ensure that you're getting enough sleep, that you eat nourishing foods, that you're staying hydrated. These elements have a significant impact on both our mental and our physical well being. And so I encourage folks when I speak to groups, schedule some me time. There was an activist named Audre Lorde who was quoted as saying, self care isn't selfish, it's self preservation.
That's
And
right.
sometimes, particularly as women, we think that we have to burn the candle on both ends and give of ourselves to everybody else before we take care of ourselves. And what happens is that candle burns out in the middle, you're burned out, your cup gets empty. Now you have an empty cup trying to pour into everybody else. And now there are mental health problems, physical problems, etc. So point number 1, start small. Point number 2, prioritize your self-care. And that self-care can be anything that brings you joy, anything that brings you relaxation. It doesn't necessarily have to mean getting mani-pedis, but that helps. And just
It
enjoying
sure
a
does.
hobby. Yes, it does. Especially that pedicure. Point number 3, identify stressors. Take time to assess the current status of your life. For myself, definitely a big stressor was preparing my home to sell, selling the home, moving to a state I never lived before, determining what it was that I was going to do for my financial wellness, and being able to just be there for my parents. And so when you identify your stressors, take time to really look at whether it's work, relationships, or financial concerns, particularly if you're navigating through the grief process or going through a life change. I remember speaking to a group of women, and they said that even getting divorced feels like a death.
Yeah.
And it is so critical to realize that it's a significant change in your life, the end of a relationship. And so, how can you identify stressors? Well, I would suggest writing down your thoughts and your feelings to clarify what's overwhelming you. And this can help you to identify patterns and triggers. So, consider number 1, start small. Number 2, prioritize self-care. Number 3, identify stressors. And then there's number 4, practice mindfulness. Until I got into this line of work, I didn't really meditate a lot. I prayed, and that was meditative for me. But there are various forms of mindfulness techniques, and several of them I've done with PTSD veterans when I did resilience workshops for the American Red Cross here near Charleston, South Carolina. And so mindfulness techniques can be meditation, deep breathing, different forms of exercise, yoga into your daily routine. And these can help you calm your mind and reduce feelings of anxiety. And it's so important to realize that mindfulness helps us to be completely present in the moment, because this moment is no dress rehearsal, right? This is our life.
That's right.
Now we have 4 of the 8. Number 5,
Number
connect.
5. Okay.
Yes. Number 5 is connect with others. So we have number 1, which was start small. 2, prioritize self-care. 3, identify stressors. 4, practice mindfulness. And we're up to 5 of the 8, connect with others. And all of these actually are touched on in the book Thrive, Recharge, and Rise. And so what does that mean to connect with others? Well, one of my challenges was, I was like a turtle. I just wanted to retreat into myself when I was experiencing different things. And why was that? Well, one, I'm the oldest of my siblings. I'm the only girl. I'm one of the older grandchildren. So I was accustomed to not asking for help and just doing what needs to be done. But when you reach out and connect with others, whether that's talking to friends or a professional counselor or a coach or family members about how you're feeling, the sharing of this feeling provides you with relief and a new, clearer perspective. And so how can one do this? Join a community. I joined an amazing group called Resilient Black Women Daily Inspiration Group on Clubhouse. I joined groups here as I was networking and moving my business along. Connection is vital for building resilience. You know, sometimes I think I heard Pastor Joel Osteen say this one time. He said, a setback is a setup for a comeback. And in order for us to come back, we need to be around individuals who pour into us. So those were 5. Here's number 6. Embrace the 8 dimensions of wellness, which I alluded to earlier. And in so doing, when you consider those 8 dimensions, and for those who may be just tuning in, those were spiritual wellness, physical wellness, emotional, environmental, social, which deals with personal and professional relationships, intellectual, occupational, and financial wellness. And those are touched on in many different forms inside of the book, Thrive, Recharge, and Rise. But what's so important is, what do you need to do? Just identify 2. Identify 2 and start on those first. When I was leading a women's group at a local church and I was introducing the 8 dimensions of wellness, we ended up taking the step of doing a vision board based on these 8 dimensions. And I encourage the women, just focus on 1 or 2 that you want to do the first 2 months, and then go ahead and keep it moving. Number 7, and this is so important of the 8, be kind to yourself. Do you know sometimes we treat other people better than we treat ourselves? We're so hard on ourselves, especially as women, but I've known men who have done the same thing. So I want to encourage those who are listening, as you think of number 7, being kind to yourself, practice self-compassion. Understand that it's okay to feel overwhelmed. That is part of life. Stress is part of life. Burnout, when you're juggling so many different things as you're on this journey that we call life, can make you feel overwhelmed. So recognize that as you build resilience in this journey, it's normal to have ups and downs, hills and valleys. So take time to rest, regroup yourself. But also, as you are kind to yourself, I want to encourage you to do something that I wasn't good at doing, which was to celebrate your small achievements along the way. This can boost your motivation and reinforce those positive changes. And then next up, and finally, but last but not least, number 8, explore resources. When I relocated from Georgia and moved to South Carolina and realized that I needed help to navigate through the grief and to be present for my family, that's how I found out about Grief Share. That's how I found out about the support group at Trident Hospital. And so read and learn. Consider reading books. Hey, I have 1 book. Well, actually, I have 4 now, and I participated in several anthologies. But read, because the more you read, words have power, right? And they can empower you. And so for those out there who may be experiencing widowhood, I also wrote From Grief to Growth, 8 Dimensions of Wellness Through Self-Care, and it's available on Amazon. But what was so cathartic, as a matter of fact, I did 2 books, really. I did these together. One was the 5 Minutes a Day Gratitude Journal. So even though I started out with a regular book from the dollar store, pushing myself to identify 3 things I was grateful for, when I was finally ready, after having done the 2 grief programs, I decided I need to capture this for my living legacy, for my sons, for my family, for anybody else out there who is navigating this journey, because I'm not the first one. You know, my mother is famous as saying, if you live long enough, you'll know, right? Loss and joy. And so it's so important. Look for those resources, seek professional help, and do whatever it takes for you to make the rest of your life to be the best of your life. Thank you so much for allowing me to share those 8 areas when you're feeling overwhelmed. And for those who may be just tuning in, start small, prioritize self-care, identify your stressors, practice mindfulness, connect with others, embrace wellness, be kind to yourself, and explore resources. And again, remember, my Thrive, Recharge, and Rise should be available by the first week in April, but pre-orders are available now. And please download my digital card link, and it has the pre-order link in there as well. Whew. I love that people are taking their well-being seriously, and that you are bringing awareness as well to the fact that in order to balance your world, in order to harmonize your life, it happens one household at a time. And within that household, it happens one person at a time. And being able to model the behavior so that even our kids can benefit from it. My sons, they're on social media like many young adults are. And oftentimes, my youngest son, especially, references about the wellness and about thriving. So I encourage each and every one, y'all follow this channel. This lady has amazing guests, amazing information. And I am just so glad to be part of her journey.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, if you all didn't learn anything else today so far, you have learned some significant tips that you can apply in your life immediately. So everything that Dr. Janae is saying is stuff that you don't have to wait until next week, next month, when the time is right. You can start implementing these tips and strategies today. And I can guarantee you that you'll see a significant change in your life as a result of it. Now, Dr. Janae, I know that writing is something that's very big for you.
Yes,
So
yes.
how did that process of writing help you in your own personal journey?
Oh, wow, that is so fabulous. Thank you so much. How it helped me in the process was, the first book that I wrote, How Much Joy Is in Your Journey, was a self-coaching book for leaders. And it dealt with about 5 of the dimensions of wellness. And what I loved about it was that I used to go out this is when I was in Georgia, I would go out in the morning to walk around a lake. And when I came back to my car, I just had all this energy about what this meant to have joy in my life.
Right.
And of course, the Lord shifted me in realizing that 2 days later, of course, when I became widowed, that joy is something that is internal, right? Whereas happiness can be from physical things. And so what the writing did for me was that it helped me to capture in my head and put out on paper and reach out to other resources what it is that can help people to be joyful. When I did these 2 books, the Gratitude Journal and the From Grief to Growth, it was after I went through a program to become certified as a grief to gratitude coach. And that program helped me to realize that, yes, we experience loss, but what do we learn from that loss?
Right.
How do we become grateful for the experience that we've had? I can't even begin to imagine the loss of a child, as you referenced earlier. I just can't imagine that. I lost my dad in 2022. And so when we live long enough, we experience loss, and being able to write and journal enables us to capture our feelings. And here is something that I want everybody. Oh, thank you so much. That's the very
I'm
first
trying to
book.
put some of your books up here. How Much Joy Is in Your Journey. That's a beautiful, beautiful cover as well. And
thank you.
The other
Thank
one
you
was
so
From
much.
Grief to Growth, right?
Yes, the 8 dimensions to wellness through self-care. And then the partnering book to that was the 90-day gratitude journal, 5 minutes a day to create the life you love to live. And what's really fascinating about the gratitude journal, because one of the things that I struggled with was, okay, what do I write about today? But here's the thing: when you have a gratitude journal, you actually start off the day writing what you're grateful for. And by the evening time, what I would do, one of the things that my coach suggested that I do, was to go back to that day's entry, and invariably you would find other things that you're grateful for in the course of that day. So in this gratitude journal, I have inspirational quotes, and then I also have it divided on each page for these 90 days: spirituality, relationships, work, career, health, and leisure activity. So it kind of prompts the reader into, okay, what am I grateful for this morning? And just jot it down. So it doesn't have to be a manuscript or anything like that. And so what writing does, it's cathartic. It helps you to purge your soul and your mind and get it down on paper.
Really,
and I want to encourage everyone, write. There you go. That's the 90-day gratitude journal. Both of those were a labor of love. And, one day I want my children and my grandchildren and hopefully great-grandchildren that when they Google my name, they said, oh, okay, Mom was really involved in well-being and helping others to create that better version of themselves. And guess what? You're never too old to do something new.
That's good. And you're definitely building a legacy for your family. And they're going to always remember and cherish everything that you did right while you were on this earth, but then also for them to be able to pick the baton up and continue to just running on your behalf. So that's just beautiful, in my opinion.
To God be the glory.
How do people get this? How do people get access to the journal, to understanding how much joy they really can experience. When we realize that the joy of the Lord is our strength and not human beings, is so much more joy in our journey, in my opinion. And that's
Yes.
a book that I'm in the process of finishing as well, that my strength does not come from another person, it comes from the Lord. And so this journey here that you're talking about, I'm sure is extremely inspiring to people, from grief to growth. And then your latest project, Thrive, Recharge, and Rise. How do people get access to all of these different pieces?
Oh my, thank you so much for asking. So those first three books, the How Much Joy, the From Grief to Growth, and the Gratitude Journal, they're already on Amazon. So I would encourage everyone, go ahead, pick up a copy. I would love for it to be a blessing to you or a blessing to someone that you care about. Next, we have Mental Health Awareness Month coming up. And so that Gratitude Journal will certainly be of support to someone to be able to focus on their mental well-being as well. And with the Mental Health Awareness Month, we have individuals who are experiencing going into this year without their partner. And so even though the From Grief to Growth has the dimensions of wellness, but it presents it from a way of self-care. So I present in the book what it was that I did as I navigated through those early stages of widowhood in each of those dimensions. But then at the end of each of the chapters, there's an activity for you to be able to reflect upon and to do something for yourself as you're moving forward. So for those who have lost a partner, I'm prayerful that that would be helpful. The Thrive, Recharge, and Rise, that has amazing strategies and activities in the 10 chapters, an easy read. And I'm excited because as I go throughout 2025 and 2026, my goal is to be able to do personal and professional development with different groups, as well as educational programs, because really educators and higher ed are definitely stressed at this time to be able to navigate in mastermind groups through the book. So write. Even if you don't plan to get published, write it, put it down on paper while you're driving. Just recite inside of your recorder. Oh, I see you do that. Do you do that?
Yes, I do all of the stuff that it's like we are literally kindred spirits. We are one and the same. That's why I'm not saying much on the show right now. I don't know if y'all noticed that I'm forever talking on my own show, right? But I didn't talk that much because everything that you're saying is everything that I feel and everything that I've put in books that I've written as well. And so I'm like, this is my sister. Literally.
I love it.
Oh, I'm like, carry on, go. I love it.
Oh, you are so amazing, Kim. And others in the audience may already know this, but can you share for those who may be listening as a result of invitations for this show, what inspired you to start this show? I'm just blown away.
And here, look, let me put you over here, because see, this when you know the show gets good, right? The person that's hosting you becomes the host, right? Listen, what inspired me to become the balance doctor is because of the different hats that I've worn along my journey. I have a friend, Sean, who's like, Kim, you're the balance doctor, right? I was like, what does that mean? So she was sharing with me, wearing all of the different hats where people go through life and they're trying to determine if it is looking like what it's supposed to look like, even though in my opinion, balance is not that. It's like whatever season God allows us to be in that particular time in our lives, then he already knew that that's what we're going to be in. That's the season we were going to be in. And he knew how he was going to help us get through it. So it may not look the same for every person as we're trying to balance this thing called life. What works in your house may not work well in my house. So we have to customize our experiences. And so this show allows people like yourself to come on and share your backstory, what you've had to overcome to become who you are today, and how other people can have that missing piece of the puzzle in their lives. So you are the missing piece of the puzzle in somebody else's life today, Dr. Janae.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, you are such an inspiration, and hopefully through God's grace and mercy, something that I've shared today resonates with someone in the audience, whether they're listening live or they're listening on a replay. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I am on Oh, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and so just direct message
Just
me. I'll be glad to
under your
respond.
name, under your name.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So on Facebook, it's Dr. Janae Bishop-Nesbit. On TikTok, it's at Dr. Janae underscore Thrive. And then on the other social medias, it's just at Dr. Janae Bishop. And so I am glad to be a servant leader and a servant of the Lord, and to be able to help folks in ways that enables them to make the rest of their life to be the best of their life.
And I can feel that through every piece of your existence. And that's one of the biggest things I think too that makes us very similar, is the fact that Les Brown often talks about we could live full and die empty. I don't want to go to my grave and have any of my gifts and my talents just not used for God's glory. So I believe that we're supposed to salt this earth, and that everybody else misses out if we don't use the gifts that God has entrusted us with. So I'm grateful that you're using those gifts and talents today. Let's see. Okay, so on social media outlets, make sure you look for Dr. Janae Bishop-Nesbit. I also put her card in the link here, so that way you'll be able to also stay connected with her. So if you go on the link that I put in the comment section, you can cut and paste.
Download the digital card. Yes, I love it.
All of her ways to stay connected. And then also people that are looking to rebuild themselves, rebrand, get unstuck. What advice would you give them to be able to, no matter what phase they're in right now, to get going, to get moving?
Oh, wow. I think oh, well, you know what? When I first wanted to get started, I reached out to a nonprofit organization called SCORE, which is made up of individuals who are corporate entrepreneurs, and they mentor folks who are new in this space. That was very helpful to me. The other thing that was helpful also over the last several years was having coaches. And so I have a business strategist coach, I have a marketing coach. Just this year, I got a virtual assistant. And because, I was used to doing things, being that solopreneur and doing things on my own. But then I thought, you know what? If 2025 is my year to thrive, then I'm going to go ahead, and those people who have expertise in their spaces, rely on their expertise and be able to continue moving forward. So my suggestion is, go ahead and start with those nonprofits that support starting businesses or entrepreneurs, so that way you can get an awareness. And then as you begin to formulate exactly what it is that you want to do, then go ahead and get those individuals like yourself. I mean, those of you who are tuning in, this lady, Ms. Kim Jacobs, she actually helps individuals to start their own channels, their own programs. That's something I couldn't do, but she's the expert in it. And so that's what required, to be able to reach out to those people who are experts in their field and let them be part of your team in helping you to achieve your dreams.
That's good. Thank you so much. And so with the coaches, that's important, you guys, to make sure that if we're looking to get coached by someone, just finding out what their area of expertise is, so that you can really hone in on that particular skill set and walk away with it. When she just mentioned the group training, I actually work with 5 students at a time for 6 weeks. During that 6 weeks, I help you create a show from scratch. So you don't even have to come with the name of your show or anything. We work together, 5 students. It's a one-stop situation for people to find you and be able to connect with you. Our show, The Kim Jacobs Show, is now on Roku, thanks to CTR Media Network. And we're in the self-improvement channel there. And we stream in over 100 countries as well through CTR Media Network. So if you're interested in starting your own show, then make sure that you reach out to me, 704-962-7161. And we're taking 5 students and starting our next training on, I'm not even going to timestamp this. The point is, it's in the next week or in the next week. So make sure that you go ahead and reach out to me so that you can get one of those 5 seats right from the comfort of your home as well. And another thing I do need to make sure I mention, because people often ask, how can you support the Kim Jacobs Show? What are some ways that you can contribute and give to the program? We encourage you, and if you do, just obviously we'll always give shout outs as well. And I thank a lot of the people that have already donated, but these are the ways that you can contribute. You can do it through Venmo at the Kim Jacobs Show. You can also go to paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. You can also Zelle 704-962-7161, or Apple Cash. I think that's the other way through the same number. I'm saying this because we have audio listeners as well over on iHeartRadio that's not seeing the broadcast.
Oh, okay.
So we thank you so much for your contribution to the Kim Jacobs Show. And if you're screenshotting it, we need to take a brief moment to pause because people put us on Facebook any kind of way, Dr. Janae. So let's go.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Only because people literally screenshot. I'm like, wait, let me get my right side.
That is such a great idea. I have never done that before, but it makes so much sense. Next thing you know, you see a picture of yourself looking like not how you want.
So listen, thank you for contributing to the Kim Jacobs Show because we really appreciate your support. And it's the only way that we can come on Monday through Friday into your home. Every weekday at 11 o'clock a.m., you turn it on and the Kim Jacobs Show is right in your home, bringing balance to this world. All right, so I want to make sure, because we cannot get off without talking about the fact that you are, let me put this, because I found this. I was like, I am like a sleuth over here. I'm doing my
Oh my
own
gosh. Uh-oh. I'm getting nervous.
I'm doing my own thing over here. Let's see. You know how you send pictures and things, but I found this. This is this your man, right?
Yes, that's my man, Vernon.
Mr. Vernon. Now,
that's right. That is us. Recently at a watch night service at his sister's church, and yes, he brought love back into my life. I had never had expected that this would be the case, and he said, as a matter of fact, he called me right before we started the show, and he said, "Listen, you're gonna be fine." He's my biggest cheerleader, and my sons are as well. He said, "Listen, you're gonna be fine. Just flash that smile and know what you're talking about." I said, "Okay."
and so give any advice, because right now I know you've been talking about wellness, thriving, grief, recovery, and all of these things, but at the end of the day, you still, love found you in the midst of all of that turmoil that's happening in your life. So tell us, how did that happen?
Oh wow, okay. This is probably a good topic for another show as well.
Right.
Women in this wonderful stage of life, that is something that really comes up in conversation. So, I will say that I did not expect it to happen, but now that I look back on it in retrospect, because I had worked on my own grief, I wasn't looking for a replacement from my late husband. I was in a space where I was just focusing on whatever brings me joy. That's what I'm going to focus on. Yeah. And Vernon, by the way, is a veteran as well. So we had that commonality. He also is a New York Giants fan, even though he comes from South Carolina. So we had that commonality. And he's just a genuine person. When you think about what research or some podcasters have said, looking for someone who provides, protects, and professes you, that's exactly what he did. And so he knew that we were going to be a couple before I embraced it. But I tell you what, my late dad, my mom and my mom's sister, they had what I call an intervention with me. And they said, listen, you're focusing on building your business. You're in this new place, this, that, and the other, but realize you still have a lot of life to live. And so that's what I want to encourage and share with women like us out there. You still have a lot of life to live. And remember, work is just a small piece of it, but nobody's going to come knocking at your door. How I met Vernon was I was invited to a county commission fundraiser. He was there with his brother, who happened to have been a caterer, and Vernon had just recently retired a few months earlier. And he saw me walking in, and he started up a conversation. We didn't even actually start dating until a year and a half later, because I was focused on getting myself right. And so everything went into alignment. But you know what God has for you will be for you. And I think this is a great topic.
Yes, come back. We can talk about this. You can come back anytime. Trust me, my sister. For real.
Oh, thank you. And I want to encourage those in the audience. Hey, listen, in the next month in April, I'm going to be doing a Thrive, Recharge, and Rise webinar, which is going to lead into a masterclass. And so I'm hoping to help individuals move along. And now that you said that, I better go ahead and factor in that relationship building component in there.
Yes, please factor that in, because that's very important, especially with you, like you say, already being an empty nester when your husband passed away, and then where does that leave you in this journey of life? And so for you to have love find you at this level, I just thought that was just so touching. I know that's not even what our topic is about today, but then also to these sons of yours,
Oh,
William.
you really did do a deep dive. Look at you.
So William and Matthew, talk to us about them as well. They seem like they're part of the strong foundation that you have.
Oh, they are. They are. Oh goodness. They are my greatest achievement. And so, you're a mom, and you just know that a lot of times what we do in life is so that we can provide a better life for our children than perhaps we had, benefits of different things. Now, I grew up with a lot of love. My parents were married 59 years by the time the Lord called my dad home. But my sons are definitely two chambers of my heart. And so, for so many years, I wanted to achieve and meet certain milestones so that they could have a good life with my husband and I. And then before I was even able to retire, our lives changed. And then I found that my healing and my forward movement was so that they can see that life still must continue. Our family still must continue. And resilience is about getting up and keep moving. And so I am so proud of them. And thank you. You caught me off guard with that, girl. I'm about to do
you made me cry. I'm like, what? It yanked a special place in my heart when you just started. I could hear the breaking up in your voice. So it made me.
Oh, yes. But with that though, when I married Vernon, I gained 2 bonus sons. So I guess the Lord said, Malcolm and Isaiah. So the Lord said, listen, you are a boy mom. You got that energy that resonates with males. So yes. So now I'm just thrilled to be surrounded by all of this masculinity.
Oh, and I don't see a picture of Malcolm and Isaiah, but I honor them as well.
Yes. Oh, no, thank you.
So glad that I ain't that good. I found some. But the whole family, I really genuinely celebrate you all. And I'm grateful to see the level of joy that's permeating through your pores, and the fact that gives hope to other people, that means we can get to the other side of our mountain, and things that are trying to cause us significant stress, and even sometimes to the point where people feel like there's no hope in life. You show that there is hope in life, and I'm grateful for you being here today. Yeah, very good.
And I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Kim.
Thank you. Tell everybody about Thrive Well Consulting too, one last time here.
Oh, yes. Please reach out to me. Thrive Well Consulting is a wellness practice that helps individuals embrace self-care and well-being when they're experiencing burnout, stress, and need more work-life harmony. Feel free to download the link. It gives you access to all of my social media as well as my business card. All you got to do is click on it and you can save it to your device, whether it's the laptop or your any other device. And check out my website, which is www.drjanetbishop.com. The servers can't recognize the apostrophe, but I look forward to be in touch with everyone, and feel free to DM me. Let's connect and have a chat.
That's good. Okay. And I actually went over in the private chat and just saw this as well. So I want to make sure you know that in April, her latest book is coming out, and you can pre-order it as well. And I'm going to put the website right here as its own separate link. What is it?
Yes. The website. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That's the website that you have right there on the screen. It just needs to have the .com behind it. And then in the chat, I had put the link for those who want to pre-order the book, which is the same as the website, but it has / and then the word blank, BLANK -6.
I'm going to copy just the link. I think when I'm copying all of this other stuff, it's throwing.
Just copy the link. That'll be perfect.
Copy the link and put that up so you all know exactly where to go to get the book. You can go to drjanetbishop.com /blank-6. And I'm
love it.
Larger, so y'all really have it.
Yes. And for those who pre-order, you're going to receive an autographed copy, a reduced rate of the book, as well as a special gift in your package as well. So thank you so much for continuing to encourage me in my journey.
I'm grateful. And this, Dr. Janet Bishop, for those of you that are the audio listeners, Dr. Janet Bishop but it's really Janae, right? That's how.
Yes, it just
I'm only
doesn't.
saying Dr. Janet because of the fact that that's how it's spelled, but her
That's
name is
right.
Dr. Janae, just so everyone knows. drjanetbishop.com/blank the number 6. Okay.
Correct.
So make sure you go and pre-order this book. And the book that we're talking about is Thrive, Recharge, and Rise. And this is almost like a mantra for you, is what I believe in. You're thriving, recharging, and you are rising again as a result of it.
To God be the glory. Oh, the closing comments is simply, you get to create that better version of yourself no matter what chapter of life that you're in. And I encourage you to continue making the rest of your life the best of your life. I'm Dr. Janae, and thank you so much for spending this time with me today.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. And on our, God, I didn't even acknowledge my guests, my visitors in the studio audience. I see, let's see, because we can't close without doing that. We have about two more minutes here. Let's see. I see you, Dr. Judy Ambrose James. She says,
"Yay, Judy!"
She said, "Hey, Dr. Janae. I see you saying $1.99. I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see. I'm excited that you're on, though. Very glad to have you all. Other comments? Any other comments that's been coming in? I want to make sure I acknowledge that you all took the time to gratitude and joy. God bless you. God bless you. Good morning, Dr. Janae. Good morning. I saw so many other comments. I hope I didn't. Okay. Oh, Dr. Tina J. Ramsey says she's watching live from CTR Media Network. And
fabulous.
Yes, this is where we stream in 100 countries through CTR Media Network under the leadership of Dr. Tina J. Ramsey.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Ramsey, for your leadership.
And V. Jerome.
Oh, that's my husband.
That's your husband, Ryan. He said, I just love. So I guess he was going to be like, if that woman get off that show and not mention that I made a whole comment, I'm not going to get my brownie points. This woman done messed stuff up for me.
That's right.
Hi, Vernon. It's a pleasure to have. He like, I know she done bumped her head if she don't mention the fact that I supported my wife.
He is such a great encourager. Absolutely.
It sounds like it. It literally sounds like it. Let's see. I see other people that came on. Robin, I see you. I see you, Judy. I see all of you all. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Kim Jacobs Show today. Y'all are most amazing, and thank you for your support. Dr. Janae, you are a blessing to this world.
Thank you, my sister.
Thank you for being here. All right, everybody. That's today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. We will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Kim Jacobs Show. Have a great day, everybody, and I love you all. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you and make it a great day.